will allow. You can see up on our screen that are joining us. Make sure you throw questions in the comments section, or if you have takes of your own throughout the show, I'd love to hear from you. We have our normal contributors on the show tonight. We have a series of guests. The first is Adam. You can catch him at @SpotterAJ on Twitter. Appreciate you being with us, Adam. I'll get to everyone in a second, so don't worry about getting in just yet. At Mike Dobbs 94, that's Michael Dobbin. He's been a great contributor for ours so far. Mike Dobbs 94 on Twitter. And finally, you can find Jay Lopedog. We'll call him Jose, or we'll call him Lope throughout the broadcast tonight. Those will be our three main contributors as we go through the entire NFL schedule. So, because I'm a super nerd about sports, like all of you, I made an Excel spreadsheet with every game this season, as well as color coding it based off of what day of the week, and of course where where the game will be played if it's overseas. This is going to give us an understanding of what each team's going to go through week to week and how we can try and navigate it from a future betting standpoint. And that's going to be the main focus of our show. We're going to have fun talking about the NFL, what could come up in the season in 2023. But we are going to try and put some wins and losses on the board, and that way all of you can play along at home and finally get a sense, at least early on, of who the winners and losers of this season could be. Guys, excited to get into it with you. Adam, we'll start with you. You've had your first, you had the first crack at getting into this Excel spreadsheet. First, what were your initial thoughts, and how did you go about trying to think about week to week picking wins and losses?
Well, the spreadsheet was great. It's a little overwhelming at first with everything right in front of you, but you start going line by line. What I did on this first go around was I pretty much took what we learned towards the end of last year, applied it to free agency and the draft this year, and just kind of did my own version, not looking at the Vegas number, and see where I came out on the win total line. And actually came out pretty close on most of them. I think I overvalued 3 or 4 teams and undervalued 3 or 4 teams according to what Vegas total line was. But it was interesting to see kind of how close I came, whether I was either a game above or below what Vegas has listed for over-unders.
Mike, how about you? How did you approach looking at the schedule, and how did you go week to week? Was there any logic behind what you were putting in?
Yeah, so far from what I could tell, I just pretty much went through game to game by the week, not by teams, just because of myself, if I would just go by teams, then I might mismatch the wins and losses. But a lot of it had to do with the prep about some players, like big QBs being injured, like a Las Vegas. Is that QB going to be iffy? So that might affect the win-loss. Some teams with like Arizona, not only with their quarterback, but now DeAndre Hopkins is gone. So a lot of that does factor into recent news as well.
Yeah, we're going to get into the Raiders a bit over the course of the show. Will be interesting to see what quarterback they have under center this year. Could it be Tom Brady? Is it Jimmy G? I know it's not going to be Hoyer. That's the one thing I do know. Lope, how did you try to attack the beast that is the NFL schedule and picking wins and losses?
I think I had a similar approach, just taking it week 1, week 2. And then obviously when we get into the bye weeks, trying to factor in rest and travel. So it was really nicely set up with seeing teams playing on Thursday, Monday, or even overseas.
Well, we're going to jump into it now. We've had the chance, all of us have had the chance to look at this. We're obviously going to have some difference of opinion as we fill this out. Each one of our contributors has their own version of this, in which they've been using and will use throughout the show as their kind of go-to cheat sheet. But we'll try to come to some consensus, try to discuss how we're coming to these picks. We'll try to fill out as much of the schedule as possible over the next hour or so. So we may not get to everything. This might become a 2-parter. But for all of those that do join us, play along at home. We're going to try and go by divisions, guys. I thought about how I wanted to do this. At first I thought we'd go alphabetical, and then I thought, but that's kind of random. You're not really thinking in kind of a compartmented way, and that may be best for us. So what we're going to do tonight is we are going to start with the AFC. We're going to start with the AFC. We're going to go with the East. Then we're going to go the North, South, and West. Hopefully we're able to cover all of the AFC tonight. Obviously, as we fill things out, we will plug those in. We can follow up later on and see how things ultimately complete or fill out the entire schedule. But I'm really excited to get into all of this with you. So we will start with, like I said, the AFC East. And the first team we're going to focus on in the AFC East is the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills win total going into this season is set at 10.5, which may seem a little low to some, but given how how loaded the AFC is, and especially the AFC East overall, will be really interesting to see how it all plays out. Their first game of the year against the New York Jets. It is a Monday night game against the New York Jets, and it's in New York, a place where Josh Allen struggled last year. Sauce Gardner got the better of him. That was in a Zach Wilson game. Adam, we start with you. How do you feel about this game? Is it one in which you actually think Buffalo may get off to a bad start?
I actually think this is going to be like the hype of Aaron Rodgers at home against Buffalo. And I think that Jets defense is going to play really well, and Buffalo is going to lose this game at the Jets, and that's where the hype is going to start in New York for Aaron Rodgers, and then we can talk about it later. I think it'll tail off some. But I do believe Buffalo going to New York in this first game, I would lean the Jets with that defense in week one.
Michael, what about you? What do you think about this game, Buffalo and Jets, week one?
So week one, obviously all the emotions are going to be high for the Jets and especially their fans. To me, correct me if I'm wrong, but the game against Sauce Gardner, Josh Allen did have his elbow issues, correct?
Very true. Good point.
Yes. So I think Josh Allen being 100% healthy coming into the season, especially with his throwing arm and his elbow, I actually have Buffalo coming into the Jets and winning it.
Interesting. Okay, split decision. Lope, where are you coming out on this one?
I like the Jets. I think the defenses tend to pick up together go faster than the offense, and I think the Jets have the stronger defense. I'm also have a lot of questions going into the season about the Bills and Josh Allen. It looked like with Brian Dabble away from him that he became more turnover prone and they became more established to him. So I got to wait and see. I still got the Bills having a decent amount of wins and making the playoffs. Not to panic there, but I think week one, I think the Jets take it.
I'm definitely saying this now. This is a May 30th prediction because a lot can change between now and even next week. If DeAndre Hopkins goes to Buffalo, I think all of us are probably singing a different tune. Michael, I'm probably more on your side on that one then. But as for right now, I actually am I really like what you said, Adam, in that I think week one is going to be peak ESPN gushing over Aaron Rodgers nauseum. I think it's going to be so much Aaron Rodgers, Broadway Aaron bullshit that's going to go on in that first week, and I think he's going to live up to it. Aaron Rodgers traditionally plays really well in primetime games. Buffalo's got some question marks, actually. They've got some questions, and it's the Jets that are on the come up. If I can make a cross-sport analogy, the Jets are just about to enter that kind of prime zone where Buffalo may have been the top dog for a while, but you're seeing the emergence of this younger, better team. It is like a baseball team that had a very good farm system, might have had good pieces, and is now ready to win because they got the ace veteran. That's exactly what you've got in Aaron Rodgers. I like the Jets in week one. We have a bit of a consensus on this one, 3-1. That's how we're going to play this out over the course of the show. So we'll plug in, if you're watching on our screen, on TikTok Live and on YouTube, we're going to plug in a W for the Jets. We'll plug in a W for the Jets, and L for Buffalo. This is how we're going to fill it out. Now, we are going to stay within the division, but we're going to go week to week, guys. So we're going to finish out the rest of the AFC East in week one, fill that out. I actually think the best way to probably do this is to complete it the entire first week, but we'll go by division to fill that out. So we'll go to the AFC East. We'll go to the New England Patriots next on this as we fill it out. And for those playing at home, hope you're having a good time watching IP Shade 45. Jack, happy you're with us. Farika, welcome to the show. Hope you're having a good time watching some NFL conversation. And of course, us going through an Excel spreadsheet with everything you're going to need to know about the NFL season. We go to the New England Patriots, and they will be playing the Philadelphia Eagles in week one. They host the Eagles. Immediately, I'll take this one off the bat. You got to love the Eagles coming into the season. They've got a lot of pieces back. They've also added a few things in the draft. I feel really good about Jalen Hurts. Yes, he got that contract, but I don't think the chip is off his shoulder in any way. Love their offensive line. And while I think the Patriots did make some nice moves in the draft, you guys know how I feel about Christian Gonzalez. I just feel like Mac Jones is not at the same level as a Jalen Hurts right now. And I don't see how the Patriots could get a week 1 win. So for me, it really is about the Patriots taking the L at home, despite Bill Belichick, all the mystique. I don't know if this is the Tom Brady game or if that's week 2 against Miami, but I just don't feel good about this one. Lope, we'll start with you on it. How do you feel about the New England Patriots hosting the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, that's a tough way to open, even at home. I think Philadelphia is really strong this year, and they got a revenge tour kind of attitude on their mind. So a lot of parts to help them. Scary game. I think Philadelphia wins, and I'd be interested to see what that spread is, but I'm 6 or 7 points wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. Michael, how do you see it?
Yeah, I think Philadelphia is going to just buzzsaw New England, to be honest, with not really high on New England's offense this year, especially Mac Jones, and Philadelphia has just a great combination of both offense and defense.
Adam, is it a clean sweep?
Yeah, it's a clean sweep. I think what Howie Roseman's done with free agency and, with the salary cap and stuff like that, I think he's done a really nice job trying to bring Philly back, to keep them in a Super Bowl run here. So I think it's a clean sweep. And for Lope, right now the week 1 line is Eagles -4, just FYI.
Oh, interesting. Well, then I'm taking the Eagles to cover that. That's where I'm at with that 4. I'm sure there are some Patriot fans who think they could get to 3 points, but got to feel good about where the Eagles defense is at. Interesting. Good call. Thank you, Adam. And keep those spreads coming as we go through this. That's a fun way of looking at this. Since we are probably going to go week to week, we won't obviously get too far into the season, but this will be an ongoing journey as we cover the entire NFL schedule. We move to Miami, who, yes, I jumped the line, Lope, because I just wanted to put the Miami Dolphins in my rearview mirror as much as possible. But they should have come first here. They play the LA Chargers week 1. They are in LA rather. Michael, we'll start with you since, again, I want Lope to figure out if he really likes his Dolphins yet. Mike, we start with you. How do you feel about this game? Again, this is one in which we saw the matchup last year. If you remember that crazy fumble that Tyreek Hill took for a touchdown, ultimately the Chargers won that game. Do you think Miami, with a healthy Tua, is able to go into LA and get a week 1 win?
Oh, 100%. I actually have Miami going into LA and winning. I really do like Miami's chances. Healthy Tua, as you just said, that offense, fastest offense in the football in the league, in my opinion. And I really like Miami's defense and what they've done in free agency and the draft. So I really like Miami's chances here, and I think that Miami fans are going to be happy that they got Tua over Justin Herbert.
Oh, wow. Already throwing some shade at Justin Herbert, and we're only into week 1. Okay. Adam, we'll go with you and continue to let Lope figure out his fins. Adam, what do you think about this week 1 matchup?
Well, I'll catch that shade from Michael because I'm on the Herbert train. And I really like the Chargers this year in general. I do like Miami this year. Tua, as the season goes on, if they can keep him healthy. But to me, I look at this game is going to be a shootout. The over-under right now posted in Vegas is 49.5, which doesn't surprise me at all. But I like the Chargers this year, and I think this is two teams that are very similar, high-power offense and somewhat suspect defense to start the season. So I'll give the edge to the home team here, and I'll take the Chargers.
I'm a bit surprised that you say it's going to be a shootout because, like Lope mentioned in that week 1, you always feel like the offenses are the later to figure it out. It takes them a little bit longer, and especially given that Tua did not have a full season last year, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of offense. Well, I shouldn't say that because it'll still probably be a 50-point game, so I'm sure there will be offense in vogue. But look out for the Dolphins' defense. That's all I'm going to say. Vic Fangio is there. Like, they've added Bradley Chubb. They added Jalen Ramsey. Like, I actually think there will be points, so I don't want to say, like, there's going to be a lack of offense. But I feel like the Dolphins' defense could show up. Is that just me, Adam, or do you think that could actually be a possibility too?
No, 100%. Yeah, the Miami defense with the additions that they made, especially with the pass rusher with Chubb, Miami's defense for sure could be a lot better this year. So, no, I don't disagree with any of that.
What's the spread on this game for Miami and LA?
So, Miami right now is sitting, Chargers are a -2.5, over under 49.5.
Let's just keep, if you could, Adam, let's keep track of these. If you could just keep a separate tab, because there are a couple of these that just at first blush you hear and you go, man, I would take the Eagles to cover. I would take the Dolphins to cover. That's just a couple interesting things. I'm not saying we're right. We obviously have a lot of time before things can go happen. Players can get signed, injuries can occur. But I would love for us to keep track of some of these predictions and look back on it once we get to week 1 to see if we really still believe in that line. And by the way, how the line movement ultimately goes between now and that week 1 of September. Okay, Lope, you're finally on the clock with your Miami Dolphins week 1 pick. How do you feel about the Fins going into LA against the Chargers?
I feel really good about it. You stole a little bit of my thunder. I was going to bring up the defensive additions, especially Vic Fangio. I think people are still looking at Miami's defense last year, and it's going to be completely a different scheme. And I think a lot of the lapses that they had was definitely signaling and switching from Brian Flores to a different one, and now a third one. But it was a close game last year when they played them, and I think with Tua healthy and all the weapons, I think Miami will win a close one.
Love it, Lope. Love the analysis, and of course, I just want to take away some of your fire so you can't get as haughty and arrogant about your Dolphins. Who, by the way, if Tua could stay healthy, if Tua can just play one full season without getting hurt, I absolutely believe they are an AFC championship caliber team. I'll say that. I won't say they're a Super Bowl caliber team, but they are so close. And again, I like their head coach. He's like, I don't know. He's so weird. He's cool. I don't get it. But that said, we continue to move on here at Butt Fumble Sports, going through the entire season. Answering a couple of your questions for those who jumped on. Deadpool is saying Chargers, doesn't the Chargers have a DC? Okay, so the Chargers did change their OC. Remember, they added Kellen Moore, and I actually think to the point that Deadpool, I think, is trying to make, I think it could take the Chargers a little bit of time to get on the same page with Kellen Moore and Justin Herbert. When it clicks, it could be a match made in heaven. A guy who loves to throw with a quarterback with a big arm. But I do think it could take a little bit of time. I don't always think those relationships get off to the easiest start because it's actually literally a matter of language. Can you speak the same language? And I think that takes a little bit longer than training camp. And especially now with the rules, with the CBA. I mean, you saw the Patriots get dinged for having too many meetings or whatever the other week. The NFL doesn't have enough time in the classroom. I really believe that a lot of the reason we see slow starts for teams is because they've literally not had enough time to learn each other, learn enough about the offense and defense. So that might be a good idea or a good factor to look at. Deadpool brought up. Good call. Jack is saying the Chargers are going to be a disappointing team this year. It is in some ways a real make or break year for their head coach, but I'll be curious to know how they handle Justin Herbert because you're just going to pay him a ton of money. The question is, when do you pay him? Before or after Joe Burrow? So it's going to be a really important year for him. And as Jack also brings up, Austin Eckler, he's in a lose-lose situation. Yes, he's getting paid, but he only got added additional money off of incentives. I feel terrible for him. I wish there had been a team that had been willing to make the trade, but unfortunately, it's just not how the position is valued right now. We continue to go through. We just covered our first division for week 1. How we're going to do this could be a multi-show process, but we are covering the entire NFL schedule and putting a win or a loss to every game in every week. We are in week 1. The way we're going through it, we're going to go through the entire AFC. So we just did the East. We'll go through the North, South, and West next. And then we'll go to the NFC, and slowly but surely, we will fill out every game of each week. Let's go to the AFC North now, and we will start with the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens have a week 1 matchup against the Houston Texans. I feel like, guys, we can go through this one pretty quickly. Lope, where are you starting with it?
I got Baltimore. I think Lamar Jackson will be focused and ready. They're a well-coached team, and Houston still got a lot of parts to figure out, so I'll take Baltimore.
Bingo. Michael, can we just quickly go to say Baltimore?
Yep.
Bingo. And finally, Adam, give me the spread on this one, since we know Baltimore is going to be the winning team.
Baltimore minus 9.5, over under 45.
Over under 45 kind of interests me. I would kind of lean towards the under if I were going to take anything, but
100%.
One of the things though, and this is why that number's so interesting to me, that's kind of some Vegas trappage right there. That's Vegas saying, hey, Baltimore kind of has some weapons now. And CJ Stroud has an arm. And again, if you just get a couple broken plays in that game, you never know. But we will obviously call that a win for the Ravens. We put a loss next to the Houston Texans. The next team that we will cover in the AFC North is the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals play the Browns. This one is in Cleveland. And I brought this game up earlier with you guys before the show. Joe Burrow has a terrible history of playing in Cleveland. I don't know why, don't know what it is, but he does not win there. This may be kind of one of those reverse split situations. We'll start with you, Michael. How do you feel? Can Joe Burrow finally get a win in Cleveland, or do you think Deshaun Watson gets off to the 1-0 start?
Yeah, I'm actually a big believer in Joe Burrow and Cincinnati this year, and I actually like their chances going into Cleveland. I know the history, but Joe Burrow and that offense is just way too lethal for Cleveland.
Okay. How do you feel about it, Adam?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think Cincinnati gets this Week 1 win at Cleveland, a tough division matchup. It won't come easy, but I do like Burrow to get this win, even though the odds are against that one.
Okay, I'm going to jump in before Loeb can break the tie, or at least give us some consensus, because I'm taking Cleveland. I believe in players having bad voodoo or bad vibes in a certain place, and for whatever reason, Joe Burrow just doesn't win there. I also do like the idea that Deshaun Watson's coming out of a training camp. He is probably playing a little bit better. Yes, it's tough for me to bet against Joe Burrow, but I don't like their win total at 11.5, and this is one of the ways I ultimately get to my under. So I'm going with Cleveland. So Lope, you're the deciding vote on this one. Are you going with Cleveland? You going with Cincinnati?
I'll take Cincinnati. I think Joe Burrow's a little too much, but this is another one we might have to revisit if Hopkins and Watson are still talking or at least tweeting each other.
Yeah, sure. If that relationship gets paired together in Cleveland again, we may feel differently. Okay, it's going to be me on the odd man out. I'm the one with the short straw on this. Adam, what's the spread on this game?
Current spread right now is Cincinnati minus 2.5, over under 47.5.
Cincinnati minus 2.5 I don't like. Classic butt fumble sports move here. I would buy the 1.5 and take Cleveland at +4. That feels like the better play, because I even feel like, okay, even if Joe Burrow wins, it's got to be a field goal game or less. Deadpool on TikTok is saying Cleveland is the new Burrowhead. Hasn't been so far. It's been a house of horrors for him. We'll see if it continues. Alexander, great to see you. Jack, 9.5 is where he thinks the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be. Interesting that you'd set a line there. Okay, let's continue to go through our list here. We've covered the Browns. We have them losing, apparently, to the Bengals. I didn't. But we're continuing to go through the AFC North. And for here, we have to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers' interesting win total, it's set at 8.5. And that's with everyone knowing the classic stat, one of the favorite stats across the NFL, and that is Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season as the head coach of the Steelers. With an 18-week year, obviously 17 games, 8.5. Where are you taking it? The over-under. Can the streak continue? Week 1 is at home against the 49ers. I'll kick this one off before we go around the horn. I love Pittsburgh on this. I think Kenny Pickett, I'm not crazy about him, but I think he's going to make small steps forward. I really like how they continue to build this team. I think they had a pretty good draft, a decent offseason. But most importantly, the reason I'm actually betting on the Steelers, who's the quarterback of the 49ers? Sam Darnold? Are we really believing Sam Darnold week 1? I've seen Sam Darnold against the Steelers defense. It didn't end well. It didn't go well. I'm not doing that. So for me, I would take the Steelers week 1 in a week 1 home win. And if you do believe in the Mike Tomlin reaching that 9-win total to keep the streak alive, there are some games which, if you saw it at first blush, you may go, it's a loss, but he ends up winning. This is one of them. 49ers may be the better team. They don't have the better quarterback. I'll go week 1 with the Steelers. We'll start with Lope here. What do you think, Steelers or 49ers week 1?
I'm with you. I think if Kenny Pickett can make strides, and even still, he's not going to be asked to completely carry the team. I think they got help for him, and the defense is rolling. And I'm with you. San Fran's got so many questions, especially at the most important position. I'm really high on Pittsburgh. I'm with you on the over win totals. I think that's one of my favorite plays as far as any team. So I'll take Pittsburgh to win week 1.
There you go, Loeb. Now you're starting to think the right way. Okay, Michael, we go to you. What do you think, Pittsburgh or San Fran week 1?
So I guess I'm thinking the wrong way because I got San Francisco winning. I think this is going to be a defensive game on both ends. I think it's going to be low scoring, and I like San Francisco's defense a little bit much better than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh does have a great defense as well, but the additions to San Francisco I like their chances in the trenches, and I just think that San Francisco is going to take it.
Okay, Adam, we're looking for you to bring consensus to the group. Pittsburgh, San Fran.
I'm with you on Pittsburgh. I think they helped Kenny Pickett through the draft, and obviously they got the offensive line they wanted, and they turned around and got the defensive back and Porter that they wanted. And I really like the way Pittsburgh's kind of coming together. I think it's going to be a sneaky good team this year. So I like Pittsburgh at home here. And the current line right now is actually San Fran minus 342. And I'm with you. Who's playing quarterback for San Fran? That's what it all comes down to. As good as their defense is, with this high-powered offense and weapons you have at San Fran, you got to have someone playing the quarterback position. And with that question mark, I would love Pittsburgh at home catching points in this game.
I totally agree with you. And again, keep track of this, Adam, because these are great picks to kind of track over the course of the next few months. Because to me, that line is set with an assumption at quarterback, not a certainty. And once we have a certainty about it's Sam Darnold starting, or it's Trey Lance, or it's whomever, I feel like Vegas is going to wise up and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm going to maybe protect myself a little bit and shift this a bit closer to Pittsburgh, because I think there's a lot of opportunity here to take Pittsburgh. Again, I don't care about Christian McCaffrey. I don't care about Deebo Samuel. Mike Tomlin is a smart enough coach, and he has, by the way, a good enough defense where if he says, I'm going to make it a throwing game, I believe they can. You're saying Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold is the one who's going to beat that defense? And one more point. Broderick Jones, I know a lot of people, we talked about it because it's like the Patriots got one over on the Jets. But what wasn't talked about enough, that was a really good pick. The Steelers got better in the trenches in the draft. Let's not overlook that just because of some AFC East storyline bullshit. There's a lot of opportunity here to see a Steelers team take a step forward. What the Patriots were supposed to be last year with Mac Jones and weren't because of the Matt Patricia debacle, I think the Steelers could be this year. Good defense, add to the offensive line, a quarterback who's starting to make strides. They could be a 9-win team, and this is definitely one in which I think goes in their category. We continue to go through week 1 of the NFL season. We've gone through the AFC East. We've gone through the AFC North. We're now making our way through the AFC South. And we've already given the Houston Texans a loss, so eat that one, D'Amico Ryans. But you got, and then we go to the Indianapolis Colts, who will be hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'll kick this one off because I think we're all probably going to be in the same place on this. Whether Anthony Richardson's the real deal or not, week 1 is probably not where he's going to shine best. Jacksonville, they've got everything to play for this year. They had a good run in the playoffs, but now they need to turn it on and actually become a Super Bowl contender. I think Jacksonville comes out of the box hot. Maybe an awkward game a little bit at times if Jonathan Taylor gets going, but I like Jacksonville to win in this one. Michael, we'll start with you. Do you like the Colts or Jacksonville week 1?
Jacksonville week 1. Everything you said is the same amount of points that I was thinking.
Well, I'm glad I beat you to the punch then. Lope, yeah. What do you think?
Jacksonville. I think it's pretty plain that the Colts are rebuilding and Jacksonville's looking for make a deep playoff run and add on what they did last year. So I think Jacksonville starts off the season 1-0.
Okay, so Jacksonville, Duval off to fast start. Adam, what's your take, and what do you think about the ultimate spread if you've got it with you?
Yep, I agree with everyone here with Jacksonville on this one. And right now the current spread is Jacksonville minus 3.5 over under 44.
That's really interesting. I obviously need to do some more research before I could feel good about it, but there's got to be something there about Jacksonville playing in Indianapolis. Because you wonder, right? I mean...
maybe a dome thing, maybe?
Right? Like, you feel like there's got to be some kind of, like, fun fact, again, like a Joe Burrow in Cleveland, where there's some kind of oddity because you would assume that line would be closer to a 5.5, maybe even a 7, a 6.5 to try to entice you to take the touchdown. Because right now, at first blush, why wouldn't you take Jacksonville at 4 points? Really?
Yeah.
They're the much better team.
Yeah, 100%, especially with all the changes happening in Indy and who's going to be their quarterback to start. I'm assuming it's going to be Richardson, but if it is, I have a rookie quarterback with a perennial, Super Bowl contending team in Jacksonville coming in there week 1 at 3.5. That seems a little light to me.
IP Shade 45 here on TikTok saying Jags have O-line issues, left tackle suspended, right tackle signed with Kansas City. They reached in the draft for an offensive lineman. Not good. Interesting take. Okay, maybe if we think that they actually have more holes than people assume, maybe that means that spread isn't as dramatic. The Colts should have been a much better team last year. They just weren't getting, obviously, good play from the quarterback position. But their defense isn't that bad. They don't have Stephon Gilmore anymore, though, so that could be a big loss. This just feels like a really interesting spread. Again, it feels like a May NFL spread, in which once you got to September or late August, you'd go, man, really? That's what it's being set at? But in May, maybe there's something there. I also do want to note that so far we've gone through a couple of the teams with rookie head coaches, and we haven't given out a win yet to a rookie head coach. So just something to keep track of as we go through this. We continue to make our way through the AFC South, and the last team we actually have to cover in the AFC South is the Tennessee Titans. They travel to New Orleans to play the Saints. Lope, will start with you. Do you think Tennessee can pull off a road win week 1 in New Orleans?
I do not. New Orleans is a tough place to play. Obviously, people will be interested in Derek Carr in the new situation, so but I'll take New Orleans. I just think they're ahead of the game, and I'm not too big on the Titans this year. I think they baffled me with a lot of decisions, so I think Mike Vrabel's got his work cut out for him.
Good call. I like the analysis. Michael, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I like New Orleans winning this game. I really like second-year receiver in Olave. Derek Carr matched up with him is going to be a great connection. Tennessee, yeah, they have a lot of on their plate that I don't think they're going to do that well this year. They clearly wanted a different quarterback. That didn't happen. I get you got Will Levis, but I don't see him starting anytime soon in the first half of the season. But I really do like New Orleans in this.
Even to that point, I almost feel like the Tennessee Titans, this is one of those things you're not supposed to say. This is one of those things we all know, but you're not supposed to say out loud. The Tennessee Titans want to lose this year. The Tennessee Titans don't want to succeed. I know every team wants to win, yada yada, but not really. The Tennessee Titans just made a move that told you, and by the way, how they're handling Derrick Henry, how they're handling the rebuilding process. This team isn't in a mode right now that's trying to contend for an AFC South title. This is those kind of games, and obviously Mike Vrabel wants to win, but I'm talking about, are they constructing a team, putting together every possible resource to contend in a loaded AFC? No, I don't think so. I think the Tennessee Titans are being very calculated about where their future really is. And this is the kind of game, week 1 in New Orleans, in that dome, no chance for me. I got the Tennessee Titans losing, and I think Will Levis is going to see the field sooner because the Titans lose this game. And that's kind of what they want. They want to add losses early on so they can get Will Levis on the field sooner. That's my take. I know it's not what I'm supposed to say. Adam, what are your thoughts on it? What's the spread?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Tennessee is not going to be very good this year at all, and I think Will Levis is going to play the majority of the season. Going to New Orleans, 100% agree. That's a tough place to play. I think New Orleans is going to be pretty decent this year. I mean, let's be honest. We're in a pretty sketchy division right now. Carolina, right? Rookie quarterback. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield. Atlanta, Desmond Ritter. This division is prime for New Orleans to run away with it. The one thing I do want to mention, I read about earlier, which I actually think is interesting from Dennis Allen, is bringing in John Gruden to kind of assist a little bit as an advisor for that offensive coordinator position with Derek Carr. I think it's a great move by Allen. I only think that can make them better. So I'm with New Orleans on this one, and the current spread is New Orleans minus 3.5, over under 42.
See, that's a spread I wouldn't touch. I feel like that actually could end up being a 3-point game. It's certainly one I wouldn't want to play with because I could see it being close. And again, I don't like to pick against Mike Vrabel teams in situations that you don't have like an injury. Derrick Henry's fully healthy, so it's definitely a game I would avoid on the spread. But a couple things I wanted to call out just in the conversation. First of all, great note by you about John Gruden going to work with Derek Carr. I thought that was a really interesting move by the Saints. I also thought it was really important in the resurrection of John Gruden, if he ever wants to get back into coaching, given what he went through and the stain that's on him, really important for him if he has any future at any level of coaching. I thought it was also a really smart move. And Michael, you brought this up as well, and definitely I want to call it out. Chris Olave was a stud last year. When he wasn't suffering from concussions or injuries, he was a stud last year. And I'm with you. I think if Michael Thomas and Chris Olave are on the field, they could have unbelievable chemistry with Derek Carr. When Derek Carr is bad, it's not because he doesn't know how to use his wide receivers. It's probably because bad decision making, maybe holds on the ball too long, whatever it is. But he knows how to use his receivers. He throws a good ball. I think Chris Olave couldn't have another really good fantasy year. Michael Thomas, there's a bit more risk there, but I like both of them, and I think it could really inject some energy into that passing game, which has needed it over the last few years, especially with Michael Thomas again. Being MIA with those injuries, just brutal. We're going to continue to move on. We've gone through the AFC East, North, and South. We now have the AFC West in Week 1 to get through. The first team in the AFC West that we're going to talk about is the Denver Broncos. Believe it or not, the Broncos' overall season win total is set at 8.5, so Vegas believes that the addition of Sean Payton certainly improves this team quite a bit. Adam, we'll start with you on this one. How do you feel about Denver Week 1 hosting the Las Vegas Raiders?
So I think Denver is going to be a team that you're going to see play a lot better this year. I mean, if they can keep their defense together, I know it can't be as dominant maybe as it were last year, but they were like one-score games with that absolute atrocious offense. So I'm hoping Sean Payton come in here and fix that and get some more wins out here. So I think laying 3.5 in this game is a weird number for Vegas because Denver was so bad offensively last year. But Garoppolo learning a new offense, Josh McDaniels coming on the road to play in Denver against that defense. I like the edge of Denver. Right now it's Denver minus 3.5, 45. So like I said, I think that 3.5 number is, Butt Fumble Sports fashion, buy that down if you're going to do anything there. But I do like Denver to get the win here in Week 1.
You know how we love it here at Butt Fumble Sports. You don't want to be stuck with your butt in the door. You want to get that extra bit of space. So that said, Michael, what's your take on Denver Vegas?
Yeah, I actually do like the 8.5 that Vegas has set for Denver. It really all depends on Russell Wilson. That's the thing. I don't think there's a lack of talent on the offensive end with the receivers and Judy Sutton. And I really do like Dolchich at the tight end for them. It really does matter about how Russell Wilson performs, and I think Sean Payton is going to help him a lot. And I do have them beating Las Vegas because, once again, we don't know what Las Vegas is going to be doing with the quarterback, with Jimmy G. We don't know if whatever that whole scenario is going to happen. And I'm not high on Vegas as well. So I do like what Vegas has set at 8.5. And I think that this can be an easy win for Denver.
I like the take. Lope, where's your take going?
I'm going with Denver. I think we're all in agreement. Sean Payton is such an upgrade at the coaching position, just everywhere in the facet of the team, that I think it just cleans up so many more mistakes. And the defense was good. The offense just needs to be a little bit better, and I think that it will be. I think they get off to a good start, 1-0.
Adam, just remind me, what was the total on this Vegas-Denver game?
So the total on Vegas-Denver is set at 45.
Okay, that's definitely an underplay for me. Until I see Russell Wilson put together 15 to 20 points of offense, I'm going to take the under in every Denver game until I see that. But I would just say a couple of those on TikTok are mentioning the Tom Brady conspiracy theory. I'm not out on it yet because he hasn't closed the books on actually becoming a Raiders owner quite yet. And apparently you can't be an owner-player, which, talk about the NFL being the no-fun league. I'd love to see Robert Kraft in pads. But that said, Tom Brady back on the field with the Raiders with Josh McDaniels, I don't hate it. Like, I would have hated it a year ago if you had told me, it would have happened so, obviously. But in this kind of tiptoe around way with Jimmy G, a.k.a. Jimmy Glass, just doing what he does and shattering himself, I kind of don't hate on it. It literally is what if the Beatles got together and were like, okay, John, you can go with Yoko, a.k.a. Belichick. You can go have your team. But we're just going to form a separate band over here called, the Bungles. And I kind of like it. I'd love to see Brady do it. I also would just love to see the Raiders be competitive, because if it's Brian Hoyer, I mean, that's just bad. That's just bad for football. That's bad for television. It's really bad for society. So I don't want to see that in any way. I'd like to see Tom Brady in a Raiders uniform, because at this point, him outside of a Patriots uniform doesn't bother me enough. So whether it's a Buccaneers or a Raider, something about just, a man on the lamb. I could see Tom Brady joining Las Vegas. Certainly would make this week 1 matchup more entertaining. But as we've all come to agree, we do like Denver beating Las Vegas in week 1. That covers us on Vegas as well as we go through the AFC West. We've also covered the Los Angeles Chargers. We have them losing to the Miami Dolphins. Sorry about that, Lope. Or rather, you're happy about that, Lope. What am I saying? No, you're fins up on that. But the last team that we have to cover for the AFC West is actually the team that will be kicking off the season in 100 days. A team with an 11.5 win total. Incredible. And that is the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning Super Bowl champions. They are hosting the Detroit Lions. I'll kick this one off in our analysis. This, to me, definitely feels like a Kansas City win. I feel like it's an obvious one. If Andy Reid has time to prepare, if you're saying Patrick Mahomes is healthy, I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm not even going to think about it. However, and Adam will bring up the spread in a moment, this could easily be a game in which you take the Lions on the spread, because I don't think this KC team, especially if they don't get DeAndre Hopkins, they are not nearly as talented on the offensive side of the ball as we think they are. They have a lot of great scheme, but if they face some good defenses that can also put up points, like the Detroit Lions, Kansas City may be playing some closer games. Do I like Patrick Mahomes to get the win? You bet I do. But I think this could be a closer game. I could see it being a 3-4 point game. So if the spread right now is at 5.5, or I could buy it there, that's definitely what I would like. So we'll start with Lope on this one. Lope, what are your thoughts about Kansas City and Detroit?
Yeah, I think if we're just picking wins and losses, definitely Kansas City's going to win this game. That crowd, getting their rings, all that stuff. It's really hard to beat the Super Bowl champs on the road week 1. But I think KC's going to be well coached. They'll come down to earth and they'll win a game. They'll pull it out in the fourth quarter. But I think it could, like you said, it could be closer than people are thinking.
Unless the Lions pull a classic Lions move and they're not as good as we think they are, which wouldn't shock me, actually. If the Lions came out and instead of being a lion turned out to be a pussycat, it wouldn't actually shock me. But for the moment, I'm going to believe the Lions are what we last saw, in the last game in Green Bay. We'll go to Adam next. Adam, since you did see the Lions at the end of last year, do you believe the Lions are really enough to keep this a close game? Do you think the Lions could pull off the upset, or is it a KC Week 1 win for you?
I think it's a KC Week 1 win for me, and I've seen Detroit enough, obviously, being in the Packers division the whole time here, seeing twice a year for many years. The lovable Lions last year, right? They were the darlings of the NFL. They were putting up a ton of points, but they were giving up points as well, too. So I'm going to temper my expectations with them. I think a lot of people are going to be on Detroit early to start the season because of the way they closed out the year. But I think you got to be careful with them. I think offensively, I think they still can score points. But defensively, I know they added some pieces, but I think they're still going to be able to give up points. So I like KC to win this game outright the first week. And I want to see 4 or 5 weeks of Detroit to see if they're actually back to their form from last season. And right now, this game sits at Kansas City minus 6.5, over under 53.5.
You said the spread is 6.5?
KC minus 6.5. Yep.
Wow. Really interesting. Okay. Something to keep our eyes on. We have gone through the entire AFC games so far.
I did not get to pick.
Oh, sorry, Michael. My bad. Sorry about that, Michael. You go. Sorry about that.
I mean, it's not gonna change much because I do have Kansas City, but I will say this: Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell will have Detroit ready to play this game because I know that they think that no one is picking Detroit to win. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people are anticipating. And I also think it could have the potential to be a shootout. But even so, if it is a shootout, I still favor Kansas City a lot more. But I just think that Detroit, yes, they are having a lot of momentum as the darling Lions from last season. And I do think that this game can either tell you if they're going to be for real or they're not.
Forgive me for skipping over you, but you brought up a really good point. This is going to be a good week one litmus test, especially because of how reactionary we are or how quick we are to react around the NFL. There's a lot of hype around the Lions. Some people were disappointed in their draft. Obviously, they're going to have a whole summer of hype. Can they go out there week one against the defending champions and stand up to the test? Again, I think the expectation is we all believe they're going to lose, so that may actually help them because they remain the underdog. But I do think there may be reason to... It will be a good week one test. I love what you said there, Michael. So we're going to continue to go through. We'll probably only cover week one in this first show. We may have to go week to week over the course of the next few weeks to cover the entire win totals, like we said. But that said, we will continue to go through the NFL schedule. And now we shift over to the NFC for week one. And the first team we're going to focus on in the NFC, we're going to go to the NFC East. And this is a matchup actually of two NFC East teams. It is Dallas at the New York Football Giants. Dallas has a 9.5 win total, while the New York Football Giants win total is set at 8.5. Michael, since I skipped over you and I got to make up for it so you stay happy with me, we'll start with you. What do you think about Dallas week one against the New York Football Giants?
I actually have Dallas winning this game in New York. I do like Brian Daboll as the head coach. I'm still not sold on Daniel Jones as a quarterback for New York. I think that 8.5 win total for New York is a little bit generous. I'm not sold. I could be wrong, and it could be a little bit of a rival talking right now, but I do think Dallas has the better chance.
Okay, so we have one vote for Dallas. Lope, we'll go to you next. Giants or Cowboys week one?
I'll make it 2 votes for Dallas. I think this is the typical Dallas starts out a little strong and then fades later in the season. But I think they're a little bit more complete, and I like their defense up against this Giants offense. So I'll take Dallas week one.
Adam, is it a clean sweep for Dallas week one?
Not for me. I actually like the Giants at home in this game. I think this is going to be a tough game to go on the road for Dallas and put the pieces together here to get this one. So right now it says Dallas -3, 46.5, and I love the Giants in this spot here. I think the Giants win a tough-fought first-week division game against Dallas.
I like the Cowboys on this one. The Cowboys actually have a better history in the Meadowlands than you would think. So they've played well there actually over the last few years. One of the reasons I do like them week one. So that settles 2 of the teams in the NFC East. The next one we're going to shift to, actually we've already covered the Eagles as well. We have the Eagles with a week one win at the New England Patriots. So the last team we have to cover in the NFC East is everyone's favorite. I know, Michael, here you go. The Washington Commanders. By the way, Michael, are they going to stay the Washington Commanders? I heard there's another lawsuit or another issue with the name. Can you shed some light on this new name for the Washington football team?
I believe someone else has like the rights or something. I'm not entirely sure. I just glossed over it because I can't take anything more with like any bad news with this team. Personally, I still don't like the Commanders. It's not a great name. It's a laughing stock of the league. But I will say this: week one, new ownership potentially still has not been sealed with the ownership of the NFL. But I think that the Commanders are going to come out fighting a lot happier. In Washington, the fans, it's going to be packed. And I think it also helps playing Arizona, who Kyler Murray is not going to be playing. I don't think Arizona is going to be good. And I think we can silence the doubters just for one more week. And I do have Washington winning this.
I love where your head's at for a couple reasons. One, I agree with you. I thought the Washington Commanders was a terrible name. 2, I look forward to the celebration that will take place at FedEx Field for the departure of Dan Snyder. I think you will never see a happier fan base week one of a season. It will be like they won a title in week one. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. And I'm with you. Arizona could be a team that goes 0-17. It is really possible. They don't have a quarterback. They have a lot of draft picks. They have no incentive to go after any kind of win this year. They've given up on DeAndre Hopkins. I wouldn't be surprised if Budda Baker makes his way out of there at some point. I just feel like it is Arizona is a desert fire at this point. So I think it could not have started better for Washington. It's a W for me. Obviously, Michael's got that W as well for Washington. Lope, what do you think? Commanders take the win?
Yeah, I think so. I'm with you. Does Arizona won't necessarily? How many games do they want to win? I think there's a reason Vegas has their over/under pretty low. Yeah, Washington. It should be like you said, a lively atmosphere, and I think they'll win. It might be an ugly game, but they'll get the win.
Adam, what's your take and what's the spread?
Yeah, I agree with everybody. I think Arizona was the worst team in the league this year. I think I have them at 2. I think I slotted them at 2 wins this year. McCoy, Toon, Blow, who's going to be the quarterback? It doesn't matter. This team is just going to be a train wreck with a new head coach, so I don't think losing is going to be very far off for Arizona in a lot this year. And right now, Washington is sitting at a -6.5 with the over/under at 40.5.
Washington 6.5. Wow. Soak it in, Michael. Soak it in.
I'll be honest, I do not like that.
I was just thinking the same thing, which is like, that's one of those, that's like saying the Boston Celtics are an 8-point favorite at home. Oh, wait, too soon, Boston fans? Too soon?
Game 7.
Go Heat, baby, go Heat.
Okay, so we will continue to break this game down, and we are gonna break this week down. We're covering all of week 1. I was a little too ambitious in my pre-show hopes. I was saying we were going to go through the entire NFL season on this show. Turns out we will cover week 1, so we have covered exactly 1/18 of the NFL season over the course of this 1-hour show. And we're not even done, we haven't even done that yet. We're still going through the NFC. We've covered the NFC East. It's now time to go through the NFC North. The first team we're going to get to in the NFC North is the Chicago Bears. They are hosting the Green Bay Packers. This is Adam's account right here. So just like I got to give Michael a hard time, I now got to show some love. Love, yes, pun intended, to Adam. Adam, what are your thoughts on Chicago, Green Bay, week 1?
It's post-Aaron Rodgers era, so it's all good. Sunny, the sky is cleared, the sun is out, and it is Jordan Love's time. And Jordan Love will go into Chicago and win his first game there at Chicago. Chicago's going to be Justin Fields. They're going to be great. They're going to run the North. And then they're going to realize that if it's Favre or Rodgers or Love, the Packers are still going to own the Bears. So I got Green Bay going into Chicago, winning week 1. And the line sits right now -2.5, 44.5, which tells me that Vegas kind of wants you to take the Bears in this one a little bit. But Green Bay will go in there and get the win.
I don't know what kind of cheese you're smoking out there, but I feel differently. I'd go with Bears on this one. I definitely feel like Justin Fields got the right pieces around him. DJ Moore, obviously I love that they added a massive human being at offensive tackle in the draft. So I'm going with the Bears, so we're a split decision. Michael, which way you going on this, Bears or Pack?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with Adam, and I'm going to go with the Packers. The thing is with the Bears is, yes, they did construct a good team around Justin Fields. Yes, he can be a great fantasy quarterback, but he still has to throw the ball. And I get it that they did get DJ Moore, but Justin Fields, his throwing ability is not that great. And I get you can say counterpoint about Jordan Love, the inexperience. I just like Green Bay's chances to pulling off this quote-unquote upset.
Wow, okay. Putting me in my place after my smoke and cheese joke.
Let's not forget, too, Jordan Love sat for 3 years here behind Aaron Rodgers. So this offense, he still has to run it, don't get me wrong. But if he doesn't know the ins and outs and everything of this offense and every play call and audible there is, we have a problem. And I'm fully confident he has a full grasp on this offense to work with his young receivers.
I don't know why that argument works for me. Adam, I don't know why that argument makes sense. Justin Fields just ran his offense for a year as the starting quarterback. He's not going to have the greater advantage over Love, who's been sitting studying for 3 years. Just because you study about how to drive a car doesn't mean you can get behind the wheel. You got to go do it, right?
I understand, but here's the difference. I think Jordan Love can throw the football, and I'm 100% with Michael. I don't think Justin Fields can. And I think his running ability is great. We've seen it. But like all these running quarterbacks, they're going to have to throw the football at some point to win games. They can't keep using their legs. So until Justin Fields shows me on a consistent basis he can throw the football, it's a one-dimensional offense to me in Chicago. And that's why I think Green Bay can run and throw with Love. Yep, you're right. He has to do it. But I have the confidence that he will, and he'll show it week 1 against Chicago.
As Darth Vader once said, the hate is strong in you guys. J-Lope, what's your take on this? Do you have the Bears? Do you have the Packers?
I think we got a 2-2 split.
Oh, there we go.
I'll take the Bears. Jimmy G sat behind Brady a long time too, and I don't know if that helped him, but
he did start his career like 4-0, Lope. Just a note though.
Fair enough. I think the Bears have a really good team, and I think Justin Fields is the leader that they need. They were taking parts off his team, trading different people every day, and he was figuring out ways to win. So I think that's why the offense looked a little bit different. I think that he can throw the ball. He just needs more opportunity to do it, and I think that the Bears have a good chance to be pretty good this year.
Okay, so this is the first split of the show. This is the first time we've had the 2-2, I believe. So with that said, we're going to turn it over to our audience right now, watching on TikTok Live and on YouTube. So put your pick in the comment section. Do you like the Bears or the Packers week 1? We are going to the audience for our answer. Put Bears or Packers to let us know who you're picking week 1. Whoever gets the consensus on the vote will get the ultimate tiebreaker. Write in Packers if you like the Pack. MVP Metcalf is saying Packers. Jorge's saying Packers. Guys, maybe you didn't hear my pick. No, I'm just playing. Okay, so Packers, Bears, throw your pick in the chat. Looks like it's going to be a Packers right now. IP Shade 45. IP Shade 45 is never wrong. So I guess it's going to be Packers. Okay, I'm willing to accept that my NFL bracket is officially busted according to you guys. So we will take the Packers to win. Interesting that you guys are apparently hating on Justin Fields. Deadpool, it's just us here in the woods with Lope. Just us and the Bears. But anyways, we will move on now since we've settled that debate. We've covered a couple teams now in the NFC North. We've covered the Chicago Bears. They have a loss. The Lions we're giving a loss to. Obviously, they're playing the Chiefs. No shocker there. We're giving Green Bay the win. And then the last team in the NFC North is the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers week 1. I don't know if you guys saw this on social media today. They had a video of the Buccaneers quarterbacks throwing the ball to receivers. There are high school quarterbacks who are hitting their receivers with more timing. I mean, Kyle Trask, talk about a guy who's been sitting watching, who I have absolutely no faith in to step in. Adam, did you see that? Michael, did you see that?
Yeah, it was embarrassing, and I was low on Tampa Bay before I saw that video, and I didn't think I could be any lower than that.
That is subsurface low. We are going to bedrock level low.
Yeah, you know what that says? It says bedrock level low so they can get Caleb Williams at the first pick in the draft. That's what that says to me.
Hey, they hope, because it's going to be Arizona having those picks, and it's just a question of who's Arizona trading them to. But I agree with you. Tampa Bay is in official suck mode. 1, 2, 3 Cancun before the season starts. So I think we can all kind of run down the line on this one. Adam, you with Minnesota?
Yep, Minnesota, and it stands right now. Minnesota minus 6.5, over under 46.
Okay. Michael, Vikings at home, Kirk Cousins at home in a non-primetime game, automatic win?
Yeah, I do like Minnesota. I think Kirk Cousins, final year of his contract, I think he's actually going to have a good season. And I think that they're going to beat Tampa Bay without any issue.
Okay. Lope, Kirk Cousins, non-primetime game at home, automatic win?
Yeah, I'll make it easy. Minnesota will win, and Tampa Bay is going to be picking first, and you're not trading anything if you get a chance to get Caleb Williams.
I agree, by the way. That dude's awesome. And I know that some people are going to make the unnecessary comparison to Patrick Mahomes. Just let Caleb Williams be Caleb Williams. That dude's great. Okay, we've covered the AFC. We've gone through the AFC East and the NFC North. We have the NFC South to now get to. And we start in the NFC South with the Atlanta Falcons facing the Carolina Panthers. Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers. Adam, we'll start with you on this one. This is a bit of a tough one. Desmond Ridder is the starting quarterback for the Falcons. Bryce Young making his debut. Could Carolina pull off the upset, or are the Falcons going to get a Week 1 win?
Yeah, this was a tough one for me because Bryce Young's first start going into Atlanta. That's a tough place to play. Frank Reich, new coach, bringing a new culture. Carolina, for all intents and purposes, really came on towards the end of last year and really played hard. This is a hard one for me. I do like the way Atlanta shored up their defense. Obviously, they picked up Robinson in the draft. So I think Atlanta could be pretty strong here. I'm going to give the edge to the home team in Atlanta with this one. And currently it sits Atlanta -3, over under 43.5.
Yeah, that spread says it all. They're only giving the advantage of 3 because they're at home. Michael, what are your thoughts? Falcons win, Panthers win.
Yeah, this was really a back and forth for me, and I still am having issues at who to pick because I'm not really necessarily high on either team. Right now, I think Bryce Young's a better quarterback than Desmond Ritter, so I'm going to give the edge to Carolina.
Oh, really interesting. Surprised you kind of said that. Kind of not surprised you're saying Bryce Young's the better quarterback, just surprised going with the edge. Before we get to Lope's pick, I'm going to throw in my 2 cents. The Falcons might have been the best team in the offseason in adding to their defense. They did a really good job in adding pieces. One of those pieces, Jesse Bates. IP Shade 45 on TikTok Lives bring up Bijan Robinson. Yes, they added to their offense, but I really think it's what they did on the defensive side of the ball that's going to ultimately pay dividends. I like Carolina a lot. I actually like a number of their young defensive players as well, but I do think week 1, I'll go with the Atlanta Falcons just barely. Lope, what's your thought? Do we have consensus on this, or do we have to go back to the crowd?
No, I think we're in agreement. Atlanta's going to win week 1, but Carolina will ultimately be the better team, but it's going to take a little bit of time for them to get rolling.
I like that take. Okay, so we've now worked our way through a lot of teams, actually. Believe it or not, we are starting to get towards the end of it. We're covered the first 2 teams of the NFC South in the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. The next team in the NFC South that we have to get to, we cover the Buccaneers. They have a loss. Who am I forgetting in the NFC South?
New Orleans, but I believe we've
already covered them as well. We're giving them a win. Good call. Thank you. We have the Saints getting a win at home against the Tennessee Titans. So now we shift out west. We have covered a number of teams out there as well. We actually only have 1 game left on the board that we haven't picked, and that's the Rams and the Seahawks. So we have covered all of week 1 except this one. We'll start with you, Michael. What do you think? LA Rams at the Seattle Seahawks. Pete Carroll off to a week 1 win?
Yep. Pete Carroll off to week 1 win. 12th man going to be great in Seattle. Still not sold on Los Angeles. I get Stafford's coming back, but still he's another year older.
Adam, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I agree with Michael. I love Seattle in this spot. In fact, I love Seattle over their win total of 8.5 this year, and I like the Rams under their win total of 7.5. I'm trying to figure out how Vegas has the Rams and Seattle only 1 game difference in the win total. Seattle's a team on the uprise, definitely getting better, really strong, great draft. And Los Angeles, like Michael said, Stafford's coming back off injuries and have to carry that offense. Defense a little suspect now. I'm really uncertain why that number is 7.5. So to me, I love Seattle. Seattle's -5.5, 46.5 as it stands right now, and I'm all over Seattle.
Love the take. Lope, finish it out for us.
I got the Rams actually. I'm going with the upset here. I think that they're going to get back on track. I'm not quite. I think Seattle caught a little magic and caught a little people from surprise. I'll be interested with them being the hunted instead of the hunters. How they do.
Interesting. Did not expect Jay Lope to go with the Rams. Thought we were going to get a clean sweep to finish out the week 1 picks. But unfortunately, Lope, you're wrong on this. The Seattle Seahawks are going to win this game. They've had a great draft. They're a loaded team. I actually like that Geno Smith got the appropriate contract. He didn't get too much money. He got just enough so that he can continue to have the confidence he had last year. Really like what they have in their backfield. Obviously love their receivers. I think the Seahawks, I agree with what was said earlier. I could see them going over their win total. I like the Seahawks a lot. I'm fading the Rams as a whole just because they have Matt Stafford back. Are they really that much better? They don't have Jalen Ramsey. Aaron Donald is amazing, but he's not enough to be a one-man defense. I just don't see where the Rams are supposed to get their points and their defense from. So I'm going to take the Seahawks week 1. And with that, we have closed out our first show, our NFL picks for week 1. I don't know if you guys remember, but at the very beginning of this show, at the very beginning of the day, I thought we were going to cover the entire NFL schedule in this one show. Do you remember how foolish I was when I said that? Because I was incredibly wrong.
It was pretty optimistic.
There's optimistic, and then there's huffing paint, and I clearly was on the latter because there was no way we were going to get to anything beyond week 1 But here in this first show, we have 100 days to go. So 100 days until the NFL season starts. Thankfully, that gives us plenty of time to continue to fill out our NFL schedule. If you guys want to play along at home, let me know. DM me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I'll hook you guys up with an NFL schedule just like this so you can fill in your picks and play along with us each week. It looks like, guys, every week or so, we're going to be going through a different week of the NFL schedule for an hour and making picks. I hope you guys had as much fun doing it as I did, because I had a lot of fun doing this. What did you think, Lope?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Definitely now, because to see where things are and where we'll be come week one. So there's still a lot that can happen on the off season.
Lope, bringing some great final thoughts. Michael, what are your final thoughts on tonight's action?
Yeah, it's always great to chop it up, talking about scheduling and exactly from now until 100 days, you don't know what's going to happen. Teams can get better, teams can get worse, and your picks can be looking silly.
Yeah, Tom Brady could be the starting quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders. The Washington Commanders could have a new name. So many things could change in the next week or two. And Adam, what were your final closing thoughts on the first week of picks that we just put together?
Yeah, I think one of the most anticipated weeks of the year is week one of the NFL. So to go through week one of the NFL, everyone's got optimism. Everyone starts out 0-0. Everyone has a chance to win the Super Bowl. So it's good to start dissecting this to see what will come.
For all of those who have been watching on YouTube and on TikTok, want to give a big shout out and say thank you to all of you. So appreciate the support that you guys show us every single day with our daily sports betting show. And of course, watching all of our content across our platforms. Alexander, Deadpool, IP Shade 45, Doghouse Breaks 2, Jorge, MVP Metcalf, Deadpool. A lot of you guys show up for every Alexander, Jack. Wonderful to see all of you. Appreciate you being with us for tonight's show. Hope you join us next Tuesday. We will cover week 2 of the NFL schedule. I'm not going to be more ambitious than to say we'll cover 1 week at a time, but next Tuesday at 7 p.m., we will cover week 2 of the NFL schedule. We'll call this a little sewing circle of the NFL schedule. Each week, we'll sew together a W or an L for each team according to what our picks are. Appreciate all of you who have joined us. Want to give a big shout out to all of those who have been with us on Twitter Spaces as well. Also, obviously, guys, if you follow Butt Fumble Sports, make sure you're also following these contributors. Adam, @SpotterAJ on Twitter. That's @SpotterAJ. He is a great follow, does a lot for us. Thank you so much, Adam. Michael Dobbin, you can find him at MikeDobbs94 if you're looking for some good Washington Commanders takes, or, of course, a good recipe or two, right, Michael? Appreciate that. Appreciate all that you do for us. And Jay Lope, if you want Miami Dolphins fandom, you know where to find it. @JLopeDog. That's @JLope, DAWG on Twitter. Appreciate all of you guys being with us every week. And of course, want to give a big shout out to Blease. Couldn't be able to do this with the man behind the scenes. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for helping us put this together. Everybody, hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope you're having a wonderful night, and excited to talk NFL with you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Until then, reach out, share your reaction to our takes, our picks. We'd love to hear from all of you. And again, we will be back next Tuesday at 7